This video is going to be on why you should stop watching nroP. That's spelled backwards. No, I'm not a Crowleyite, but I don't want this video to be censored more than it already is going to be and more than it really should be. This is a basic thing to understand, but I feel a lot of young people have this scourge over their head. We live in a sexualized country and world, and this is a new thing. This came about very recently. We don't know how this will affect our world in the future, but we can see glimpses into the future through things like social media. I can tie this basic idea of just not watching nroP into so many things such as dating, marriage, morality, even narcissism. nroP is a new invention, and with ever-increasing technology, our society will only bring its obsession with perversion into the limelight even more. So let's start with the mind. Because in reality, nroP affects you in your mind. It doesn't affect you physically more than, just surface-level carnal desires. It's all about how you think about yourself and others that will really affect your personal life and the people around you. We can start with the obvious. It obviously perverts you. It gradually makes you more and more perverted. That's undeniable. It is a fact. The human mind is naturally perverted, and the more you kindle that spirit, the more it will grow. Since things like nroP are already accepted widely in our society, let's use the future of nroP as examples here. Things like OnlyFans. There are people in our world today, like actual real people, who genuinely believe that sex work is real work. Celebrities go on a whoring online, and they just do it like it's nothing. And in these people's mind, it's probably not really a big deal because they are already being used by Hollywood moguls and scumbag elitists on a daily basis. But in reality, they whore themselves out, they degrade themselves just for a bit of money. And if you think it's only just now happening in today's world, no, this has been happening for a long time, and all it took was the correct circumstances for this to become a reality. It happened in Rome. It just takes a society's eventual degradation of morals. But coming back to, present day time, people like Kim Kardashian have been famous for decades. I mean, this woman is married to a so-called Christian, which is just a great example of how people don't know the true biblical understanding of what living a godly life is. People think churches are Hillsong. Hillsong is not a church. It's not. That's off topic. I always go off topic, but, coming back to the script. So far, I've only talked about famous people. These people, they live in, another world compared to the everyday person, but it happens to the everyday person as well. I know people in my daily life who are so downtrodden with their self-esteem that they go on dating apps simply to get attention from men. This is common. This is not a one-off case. These people have no understanding of what love is. You have people on social media who, like TikTok or whatever, who they're normally very attractive people who just record their face with makeup caked on and ring lights to make everything look as perfect as possible, doing these stupid little dances, and it's just so obvious that they are desperately trying to get attention. Most of these people are children too. Not teens, not children, but I kind of consider a teenager a child. They're very young people. A society lacking in true love seeks a perverted sense of love through sensuality. The definition of sensuality is the enjoyment, expression, or pursuit of physical, especially sexual, pleasure. So it's a physical desire. Now, sensuality doesn't just have to be a sexual desire. It can be looking for any physical satisfaction over ones that are actually meaningful, over actual meaningful things. It's a society that believes sensuality is love. Sensuality is a perverted sense of love. These social media people, it's all a narcissistic pursuit. They have taken on a Jezebelian spirit. They pursue to be worshipped over finding true love. Not to say that these people are narcissists, but they have narcissistic traits, and it all stems back to the devaluation of sex and the breakdown of the family home. When you understand the purpose of sex, all of these examples take on a gross undertone. Men and women are naturally attracted to each other. Sex is natural, and from that bond comes children. Sex is reproduction. That's a fact. Of course, there is a place for sex outside of reproduction, but when reproduction becomes an afterthought, so too do children. No one prepares to be a father or mother anymore until they are 28 or 30. We live in a society that promotes a prolonged childhood. Our society is designed to make life so stressful that we will choose willingly to not prepare for children, but to rather pursue stress relief in one form or another. We have 50 million choices to choose from, and none of them develop your character into a worthy father or mother. Drinking, masturbation, meaningless sex, music, gaming, so on. There's so many examples. Sex is the symbol of love. It is the acceptance of someone. It is the bond of the mother and father. It is the symbol of that bond. Love being self-sacrifice and commitment. That is what love is. Love is self-sacrifice and commitment. Now, that's not to say that you should go having sex with everyone that you love, okay? That would put you in jail. But women and men have a special bond. Sex is a massive part of that bond. And from that symbol of love, love being sacrifice and commitment, comes children. Children being the byproduct of love. Let me emphasize, love is self-sacrifice and commitment. With this formula comes a father and mother who are humble enough to give to one another without expecting anything in return. From that comes trust, and eventually children. With the separation of the symbol of love and love itself, we have taken away one of the main ingredients of a healthy marriage, resulting in unnurtured and undeveloped children. What you have to understand is our entire society is designed to bring out lust, whether it be for money or cars or, women or other men, on the woman's side or, anything really. There's so much temptation in the world nowadays that it's practically impossible to actually have a perfect marriage. Things like nroP are designed to harden your heart to love itself, to devalue and degrade the symbol of love. With that comes broken relationships and ruined childhoods. People don't realize the importance of sex in a marriage. Now, that's not to say you will have sex until the day you die. Eventually, sex will be put in its place, and you will move on to more important things. But sex is the reward for committing to someone. Now that that reward is practically given out for free, it holds no real value in our society. Now, women, what you ask your husband to do, and I say women because women more often use sex as a lure or temptation to use men nowadays. And if you think I'm talking out of bias here, just look at OnlyFans and shut up. It's women who use this more often. Now, men do it too. It's just the things that men want are different. Men pretty much just want sex. So a ripped man or a very wealthy man will use that wealth and, ripped body simply to get sex from women. And then they will use that woman and throw them away because they're narcissists. They think that they're the best thing since sliced bread. Women do it too. It's just women want more than just sex from men. So women, what you're asking your husband to do is to commit to you simply for your character. That's their only reward. Now, that may sound like a pompous thing to say. Of course, emotional support and company of a partner is incredibly important and valuable. But you need to understand that people are looking for this perfect person, like they will descend from the heaven and freaking perfectly match them and their personality like a damn jigsaw puzzle. People look to romance, and romance, it's a Hollywood invention. Romance is just the infatuation phase of a relationship. Romance is not love. Love is commitment, mainly commitment, and self-sacrifice. It's being with someone through their worst. Now that sex is practically useless, and it's just useful for self-satisfaction, really, we instead use sex as a temptation, a lure, to allow us to test and prod a person, to measure a person's worthiness. Like we are the best person in the world. Like we're the best thing since sliced fucking bread. Like we have the world to offer someone. If someone doesn't measure up to your expectations, you leave and look for someone else. It creates a narcissistic pursuit, a pursuit to find the absolute perfect man or woman. Now, that's not to say that you need to stay with someone who is a drag on the relationship. Never allow someone to degrade you or treat you horribly. But what I'm saying is, we are essentially teaching ourselves to raise our expectations to the point that we will never find someone worthy. That's not being humble. That's expecting the world from your partner with no reward other than your personality, which will always be flawed and self-serving. We humans, we're naturally evil. We're naturally narcissistic. That's why this whole perversion of sex worked. Love is self-sacrifice. When you search and search for the perfect man or woman, you are unable to see that you, yourself, are not perfect. Your idea of perfection is what that person can offer you. That's not self-sacrifice. That's an illusion of love. Love is also commitment. And our entire dating game has zero commitment. The reward for commitment is given away freely, so there's no need to commit. Only those who abstain from it willingly will be able to truly resist the temptation of it from, the 14 million other sources of the vices or whatever. A person who has caved their entire life will eventually cave to, those vices no matter what. No person is ever going to be special enough for you to break your habits that hard. Human will is malleable. It is shaped by our outside influences. If you understand that, you'll start to understand why our society is made the way it is, why it is so perverted by the people with power. The spirit working behind these people has crafted our society to perfectly destroy the family. The spirit targets and perverts the mother because the mother is the most important person in the family. That's why it's the man's job to protect her and to provide for her. But men in our society, through things like nroP, are taught not to protect the woman but to objectify her. And in turn, the woman learns to objectify herself to get attention. It is a narcissistic relationship on both sides. Marriage was built for courtship. It was not built for dating. That's why marriages nowadays are falling apart at astounding rates. Dating is essentially marrying someone with no strings attached. We expect the world from our partner without committing to them. If you're unable to commit to your partner, your partner will eventually find it impossible to commit to you. Self-sacrifice must come on both sides of the relationship, not only one. If you've dated 20 or so people, you've essentially been married and divorced 20 people. What's going to make the 21st person so, special? The only thing holding that marriage together will be the threat of divorce over your head. If you've been unable to commit to 20 people already, how can I expect you to commit to me? I'm not perfect. I'm probably no better than those 20 people that you dated. Habits shape the way we think, and it's not the other way around. So if you date someone with the expectation that it will end, even if that expectation is just subconscious, you will choose less worthy people. And when that relationship eventually falls apart, you will think yourself less worthy. Eventually, you will give up hope on finding a committed partner at all because you are a hypocrite. You are unable to commit yourself. So you look to people only for what they offer you. You won't judge these people by the act of their character, but by the outside vain image of a character. By status, wealth, or physical attraction. You will try to conquer their possessions like a warlord conquering other lands. You'll try to seize their territory as your own. This is the Jezebel spirit that haunts our world today. Some people call it narcissism. It is an empty heart looking for love in a hypocritical pursuit. But in reality, all they're looking for is sensuality. They don't know love because they are unable to commit, and they are unable to self-sacrifice. They are unable to give without expecting something back. You become what you once loathed, defeated in the pursuit of love, so you fall back on old habits and drink the wine of self-satisfaction. You pursue empty gestures rather than true love. I want to harken back to what I said before, how I think the mother is the most important part of the family. You see, the objectification of women, which eventually results in women objectifying themselves because they have an empty heart from lack of committed men in the world. They've been let down so many times, maybe even let down by their own father. Their own parents let them down, so they're taught that men are not interested in commitment. They're not interested in love. Love is an innocent thing. Sex doesn't have to be involved in love. Love is simply commitment and self-sacrifice. Now, the symbol of love in a relationship is sex, but sex doesn't have to be involved in love. So they can be let down and taught that they aren't worth loving by their own parents. And that's a sad thing to see. They find that people in today's society are not interested in commitment. They're not interested in being humble enough to self-sacrifice, so they turn to carnal desires to lure a man. Nobody wants to be alone in our society. So in turn, it results in the deadly duo. It results in the whore and the whoremonger. It is a fact that men are into, things like nroP more than women. It's widely known, and that's not to say that women are better than men. Women and men, they need each other. I just think women are more important. If you objectify the woman and make her body widely accessible to all men of different degradation of character, it eventually results in women objectifying and degrading themselves to attract a man, because men are too distracted by all of the other, things that shake. Fuck, I can't. YouTube will censor me, okay? Nowadays, the reason the two join together and form a relationship is not an innocent one. It was born out of perversion. The man is spoiled and addicted in his pursuit of self-satisfaction, and the woman is innocently dependent on her sensuality to attract a man. It is all carnal and self-serving. The relationship is built to fail, and that's sad, but the true tragedy is when children are brought into the equation. The eventual result of sex is children. These little people, these purely innocent people who did nothing wrong are brought into a world by two children at heart. These two parents can't even put their own personal lusts aside for their partners, so how can they possibly put down the rest of the world for the sake of their children? The way I see it, when children come into the equation, they're the most important thing. Period. Nothing else matters. If that means you quitting your job so you don't come home angry every day, do it. If that means you quitting your job so you can be there for those kids, do it. Children become more important than your life. You took the risk to bring those children into the world, so you need to accept that responsibility. The way I see the family home is the father, his role is to provide, protect, and guide the family. The father pushes the children into the deadly, evil world and shows them that they can make it worth living in. They can take this evil place and turn the world into something that, isn't that bad. And his proof of that is the mother. The mother is the role that takes this disgusting and evil world and makes it worth living in. The mother's love brings the whole family together and eventually becomes the sole reason for that man or child to live in such a horrible place. The family, the joining of the mother and the father. The world would be incredibly lonely if we didn't have a family. And when I think of family, I don't think of a career-focused man who is, never home but is working, or a career-focused woman. I think of the times when my mom would, take us to the park or show me how to cook something or just talk to me, Women are just better with emotions. They're just naturally better. A lot of women seem to think down of the role of a mother nowadays, which they look down upon it themselves. Things like abortion and stuff. You have to realize that child is a gift. That is a gift. That is not a curse. It is not a scorn. That child is an opportunity. It's a shame because in reality, being a mother is the hardest role to fill, right? It's extremely hard, and I won't take that away from a mother ever. It is the hardest job in the world, and it is a job. It's a full-time job, but it's also the most rewarding job, and it's the most fruitful job that you can ever have. I don't care how much money you make. Nothing will be more fruitful than raising a successful family, raising happy children. That is the most fruitful thing that you can do in this world, and I truly believe that. You can work in a big high-rise tower and make $100K a year, but empty desires and lusts of the flesh will only take you so far in terms of your actual satisfaction with your life, your actual reason to live. Raising a healthy family is incredibly rewarding, and almost all of the credit for that goes to the caring role in the household, which typically is the mother, and in my opinion can be served better by the mother than the man. It doesn't mean that the man can't be the caring role. He can. But if a man is serving both roles, there's no way that he could do a better job than a mother who's committed to one. Providing for a family and protecting that family is obviously important. But providing isn't enough. You don't simply give your children toys and leave them alone. That's what my childhood was. Emotional neglect results in a broken mind. It results in unfulfilled hearts. That's the whole reason I started learning this, because I don't want my children to live in a broken home like I did. I was taught the wrong way in my childhood, but I don't want to do that to my kid. I don't want to do that to my kid. Seeing things like nroP be so successful, it breaks my heart, because I know it will result in more broken families. It will result in people pursuing these empty pursuits, these meaningless things. In reality, the world is completely corrupt. Even look back in history. Like I said, Rome. This has happened before. It will continue to happen. It's a repeating process. People are naturally evil. It's so corrupt nowadays that it's going to be practically impossible to make a successful family in the world. So I think I would be a damn good father, but I think it's hard to have a successful family in a world with such temptation. I can't even take my children out of the public school system, which teaches your children to be a slave. I am forced to do that to my child. I'm forced to subject my child to that literal torture, That's incredibly sad. That's a tragedy. It makes me debate even having children at all, It really does. The center of the world is women, in reality. It's why we wake up in the morning. It's why men become men and why children grow up happy or sad. It is that emotional caring. If you look at personality disorders, I've been affected by this a lot in my own life. They all come from the childhood. They all come from emotional neglect. Women make children into men and women into, or girls into girls. or into woman, I meant to say, whatever. Not only do women literally create us, but they are what nurture us into becoming functioning adults. And don't take this to mean that I'm some, feminist, because the feminist movement nowadays is there to corrupt women. It's there to teach women that being a mother isn't something worthwhile. It supports abortion. It supports that stuff. If I was stupid enough to accidentally get a woman pregnant and she aborted our child, that would kill me. That would kill me. I've looked forward to having a child for a long time, and if the woman that I had sex with killed my child, that's what it would be in my mind. It would be, she literally killed my child. I would hate myself for that. I would never forgive myself for that. Why did I choose such a woman? That's why I'm so selective with who I, choose to date. I would not be able to live with that, And yet, seeing people just do it, like having fathers literally drive their, for lack of a better word, I can't think of a better word, their baby mamas to the abortion clinic themselves. How could you do that to your child? I don't understand. That stuff breaks my heart to see. It breaks my heart to see. That's, women are what make our world. And that's why women are attacked so much in our society. That's why they are perverted on the main screen. That's why they are taught that meaningless sex is love, that sensuality is love. That's why they're taught that they should objectify themselves, degrade themselves in public for nothing more than meaningless likes and attention. It shocks me more how young these women are. Like if you look on social media, there's small examples of that. Like the Charlie D'Amelio or whatever person. It's like 16 nowadays. What the fuck? Those parents are failures. Seriously. There's another example, that Belle Delphine. She's 21. She's 2 years older than me. And she has already degraded herself so much. She's barely been an adult, if you can call her an adult. And she's already degraded herself this much. This woman is never going to have a happy marriage. And I feel sorry for her future children. This woman is going to use her children just like she uses herself. If she has kids, what is she going to teach her kids? She's going to teach her kids that degrading yourself is a good way to make a living. That offering nothing and taking advantage of people is a good way to make a living. That's sad. Those poor children are going to grow up in a broken home. Like I said, habits, they shape the way you think. And that's not to say that this girl is damned to a life of empty love. But anyone, I believe anyone can change their hearts. And if God wants you, he will change your heart. It is a fact. He's fucking God. He can do anything. I know cursing isn't typical of Christians, but I'm a total hypocrite when it comes to the Bible, and I get that. But and in reality, everyone is. That's what the Bible is meant to point out. It's that everyone is literally a degenerate. Whatever. I'll shut up, though. It blows my mind that people like Belle Delphine are worshipped. They're worshipped in our society. This girl, I don't want her to be ashamed, but I think it's just sad that people don't see the blatant cry for help that this is. No one degrades themselves like that if they didn't have a horrible childhood. Nobody does that. Her parents failed her. Her parents failed her. And that's why I don't want to have kids, because even if I am a good father, I could still fail my daughter like that. If my daughter became an OnlyFans star, I would lose my shit. And it would probably break the fucking marriage apart. But that would, I don't think again, that would hit me straight in the heart. I don't think I would be able to live with that. And of course, I'm not going to kill myself. I mean, that would make it even worse. But I would not be able to live and function normally in our society knowing that I did that to my daughter. These people who do these things, they put up a veneer, a mask of happiness to hide the empty pit of self-loathing that they feel. You can see it in their addictions, their distractions, their attempts to not face themselves in the mirror in an honest light. They distort and edit their own self-image just like they distort and edit the image of themselves they share with the world. It's all in a vain attempt to satisfy their need for love and acceptance. They were raised in a broken home, and they go on a quest to fill that hole in their hearts that their parents left them with. And instead of seeing the right way to go about finding love, they see based on their peers, and based on what they're taught in school, and based on what they're taught online, and what they're taught on social media, that objectifying yourself, that degrading yourself, that meaningless attention is how you get love. The seemingly positive attention Attention that under the surface is evil and it's self-serving. Yet, in the moment, it feels good because, like I said, humans are evil. We're naturally evil. We revel in bad things. So they live for the moment. You know, it feels good in the moment, so they live for the moment. And they forget the future. They forget their children. They forget their marriage. Instead, they focus on what distracts them from their self-hatred. Instead of confronting the problem, they pervert themselves and adapt to the problem, and in turn, become a problem for people they bring into their lives. You know, OnlyFans is hurt people, broken people taking advantage of broken people. It's a self-serving, fruitless relationship that results in dissatisfaction on a mass scale. And even though I'm talking about these things, just know that I'm talking about them because I experienced them myself. I could have gone right down this road, right down it. You know, I wasn't raised in a good home, and it has seriously affected my life for the negative, and my self-esteem and all of those things. I turned away from it because I saw it for what it was. You know, I can be wrong, but I just felt that I had to say this because even if I am wrong, doing OnlyFans should be shunned. It should be looked down upon. And in our society, we're quickly leading to a place where it's actually worshipped. And that's pathetic. That just shows true perversion is promoted in our world today. And I guess it's all just a sign of the times, you know?